We have some scriptures that I hope that you will see that are good for your heart and scriptures to remember. In Genesis 50, as we look in a little bit at the story of Joseph, we're going to see that Joseph had some terrible hardships in his life. He was rejected by his brothers, and they threw him in a pit. He was taken as a slave or sold as a slave. Then he worked his way up to be a servant in a household, and then ended up in prison because of jealousy and false accusation. Then he ended up as a prince in Egypt, as an advisor to the king, and then given a powerful position. And when his brothers who had sold him into slavery came back, and they wanted to be sure that Joseph wouldn't get revenge, one of the things they said was that their father wanted him to promise on his deathbed that he would not harm them, that he would not hold a grudge against them. And Joseph, being a man of wisdom and integrity at this point, he understood that his brothers had meant to hurt him, but God turned their evil into good in Genesis 50, verse 20. And then again in Romans 8, we see the scriptures talk about how we have sufferings now. But these sufferings that we have now are nothing compared to the great glory that will be given to us. And we'll see in our message that the future promise, the future glory, the future plan that God has for us is so great that we don't need to worry about what Paul calls our light and momentary problems. In Romans 8:28, we read that in everything God works for the good of those who love him. And in Romans 8:38, we read that nothing can separate us from the love that God has for us. And so I hope that those scriptures will stick in your mind and in your heart as we worship today and as we move forward. Let's look at Genesis chapter 50. 15 through 21, some of the story of Joseph. This is after he's been a prince in Egypt. This is after he has foretold of the famine by interpreting the Pharaoh's dream. After Joseph died, Joseph's brothers said, "What if Joseph is still angry with us? We did so many wrong things to him. What if he plans to pay us back?" So they sent a message to Joseph. It said, "Your father gave this command before he died. He said to us, 'You have done wrong. You have sinned and done evil to Joseph. Tell Joseph to forgive you, his brothers. So now, Joseph, we beg you to forgive our wrong. We are the servants of the God of your father.' When Joseph received the message, he cried. And his brothers went to him and bowed low before him. They said, 'We are your slaves.' Then Joseph said to them, 'Don't be afraid. Can I do what only God can do? You meant to hurt me, but God turned your evil into good. It was to save the lives of many people, and it is being done. So don't be afraid. I will take care of you and your children.' So Joseph comforted his brothers and was kind to them." Our next music is further along. Hope you enjoy it.